Including public infrastructure for the Vikings stadium into our bonding bill makes such perfect sense.
There is no racino, there is no casino, there is no gambling in this proposal, there is no additional revenue in this proposal.
I'm surprised that there's been such an overreaction from the governor of the legislature doing our work. This is what the legislature does.
Is a roofless stadium a good idea?
Well, I think that what the idea is that we're capping the state's investment at infrastructure. If that means that the Vikings lower their costs, that's a decision that they will make. If they would make that to be roof ready and the Vikings are amenable to that, it's something that they have brought in early in the process, so that would certainly be functional as a Viking stadium without that, but also be roof ready so that if next year or 5 years from now they want to complete that they would be able to do so, and to design that into the project I think just makes sense.
Mr. Speaker, there are cynics here at the Capitol who think this whole plan is designed to kill the stadium. You're taking the roof off it. The Vikings say it's too late to change the design and the concept. Is this designed to kill the stadium for this session?
Well, I would never question the motives of my good friend who's also an architect who actually knows a little bit about this stuff. I would never question Senator Senjum or Senator Ortman's motives behind this. Again, it's another solution that actually finds a solution to the problem, which is this doesn't work, that doesn't work. People have issues with this, as Majority Leader said, or as Senator Ortman said, that there's problems in components as you go through this bill. It's another option, and it's not meant. I wouldn't waste. We've said all along we wouldn't waste any of your all's time if it wasn't something that isn't legitimate. Like I said, we discussed it in caucus. There's support for it in caucus, but it isn't unlike when you built the intersection out at 494 and 394. We built that gigantic intersection out there. It cost a lot of money, and then the Carlson Towers came up behind it. It was, to Matt's point, it was below the surface. The buildings came on afterwards. There's been great economic development out there. There's a thing on Rice Street for St. Jude's. I mean, this is traditionally what you would see from a state standpoint. So from that standpoint, it fits hand in glove with what we do traditionally. But I would say that the cynics, let them talk to themselves.
If this is indeed not an effort to blow it up, then you folks are going to send a bill to the governor that violates one of his fundamental principles, which is no state general fund dollars. Now, I understand it's not state general fund dollars directly, but it's a heck of a lot more directly tied to it than anything else that's been used here.
Sure, and again, it's an idea just yet. We're happy to have any kind of input on this, but from a standpoint of, to the other interruptions and Bill's question, this is yet another plan. As I've said all along, before you know what plan actually hits the floor, it's actually too early to say, but in concept, I do think this is a good idea based on how much member support it has. I mean, that's what, at the end of the day, if you're going to have a proposal that isn't going to have member support, or you're not going to have members behind it, then it's an interesting proposal, but not something that can pass. I think they have
Could you get any DFL votes for this?
Well, again, I bring forward a copy of an amendment that was in the House Tax Committee on April 14th that had actually $398 million for the Viking Stadium in a bonding proposal and an amendment. So I would assume they're behind it because they offered it as an amendment in the Tax Committee.
This is a house of ideas, and day by day ideas emerge. And today we have a new idea, and we're incubating this thing. I will tell you, we're incubating it within our caucus, and I think in terms of that incubation, I think we're getting some positive feelings that are certainly emerging. But as we go forward, we'll examine it. We'll examine it well.
I'm clear. You think this is a proposal that can win a supermajority in the House and Senate without a roof, paid for by the general fund?
I sure hope so. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here, Rachel.
That's something that you believe you can get supermajorities in the House and the Senate when you couldn't for a regular bonding bill in the 4 months of the session so far.
As I said, I think that there's momentum growing behind this in our caucuses. There's a consensus building, but we have some folks with some really good questions that we need to provide answers to before they're going to move forward with it.